All right, we have a Fox News alert. President Trump issuing a warning to Iran after continued strikes against Israel have not stopped for 5 days. Iran should have signed the deal, he said. I told them to sign it. What a shame and waste of human life. Simply stated, Iran cannot have a nuclear weapon. I said it over and over again. Everyone should immediately evacuate Iran.
Hello, Internet amigos. Let's do a quick update on Iran. If you didn't know, I was 3 months in Iran in 2017 to work with Iran Press TV.
Yeah, this is Brendon O'Connell, the bell tower boy, in Tehran, the head of the funeral procession for former President Mr. Rafsanjani.
I need to tell you a bunch of facts and figures as the entire Iranian apparatus is pulled apart. My name is Brendon Lee O'Connell. If you don't know who I am, go to my Patreon, and you will see a lot of extra stuff on my time in Iran. I'm just working on the Air India and the uninterruptible autopilot and the work of Chris Boleyn. I'm also moving around a lot, constant power blackouts at my last location for over a week and a half. So I had to just pack up and leave and come to a hotel where the power does not black out in this city. So how unfortunate for me. Could be worse, could be in Iran. Let's just watch a little intro from good old Fox News and I'll tell you how Iran really works. The theme is very simple. You just watched Israel take out Hamas, nearly done, despite all the spicy pumpkin lattes, despite all the anxiety, despite all the millions that Piers Morgan has made and a whole host of bleeding hearts who care so much for the Palestinian babies. I don't notice them handing over any money to any charitable organizations, and they sure as hell just sit there and bitch and whine, but no one's got a solution for Israel. As you all know, Mary Silva and others and Dawn have been out on the street, and I'll be editing up that Zoom call, whereas everyone else like Whitney Webb and the Corbetts of the world, the so-called alt media, have no solution other than to go to conferences, sell coffee mugs and t-shirts, and don't forget to like and subscribe, or as Whitney said, resist. This is 2-year-old shit. But no one wants to engage politically. The only way you win is to engage politically with a politically engaged, educated citizenry. And not a soul is telling you that. There is not a soul online who is pushing this. We have pushed it from literally day dot. Literally day dot. Oh, what are we going to do, Samsung? I'm going to have to sign into the AI because you have to sign into the AI to make a complaint and ask for a feature. So, with that, so we just watched Hezbollah's been done. Now they've been knocking off leadership after leadership, just knocked off the latest leadership. Amazing, isn't it? How do they know? Because Iran is Israel and City of London. Hamas is Israel, City of London. It's freely admitted that they were funding them all out of Qatar. Freely admitted, right in front of your face. It's not a conspiracy theory. And of course, Hezbollah is the same. That's why they could just kill all their leadership, because they haven't penetrated Hezbollah. Israel and the City of London and elements of MI6 and the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland, which helped fund it all, are Hezbollah. They are the Iranian Revolution. They are Islamic Terror. And what's happening now is they are taking down their network. Why? They're under instructions from the US Department of Defense. Take down your creations, as harsh and as horrible as it is, and the US will move into Gaza in a giant base. That's what we're seeing unfold. But we've also got to go in why the US appears to be doing deals with Netanyahu and others. What power does Netanyahu have? Well, we know he has cyber as the real domain of power. Now, remember all you people that kept telling me what was going to happen and Iran is this and Iran is that? And I said, well, I've been there and it's bullshit. No one supports the Ayatollah that I found. Everyone wants the Shah back and they talk about it openly. They're totally not in fear at all. They openly talk about bringing the Shah back or a new system and getting rid of the mullahs. Openly. It's not even hidden. Okay, but you've all worked out now that Islamic Terror is Israel, correct? You've worked it out? So, as I said, they will just pick apart Iran like vultures on a carcass. And Iran's going to sit there and take it. And they're just taking out leadership after leadership. Ayatollah Khamenei is next, and there's no replacement. I was there. They were discussing with the Persian Gulf Study Center, their government analyst, Mr. Parsipal, wonderful people, and they were discussing that there's no replacement for the Ayatollah. There is literally no one. That was their biggest concern. Who replaces the Ayatollah? They don't have a replacement. So they're going to take him out. How it all transpires, though, is difficult to say because Iran is very important in controlling pan-Arab nationalism and setting up that dialectic, you know, that map. They need that map. Persian Empire versus Federated State of Greater Israel. Okay, let's watch a bit of idiot Fox News. Have you noticed they've moderated a bit, Fox News? Less gung-ho?
All right, till Fox News alert, President Trump is back in Washington after cutting his time at the G7 summit in Canada short. The commander-in-chief saying he has not reached out to Iran for peace talks.
Meanwhile, more than 300,000 Iranians being warned to evacuate Tehran, the capital.
It's a big
as
city.
Israel's Operation Rising Lion intensifies, striking dozens of targets overnight.
We have live team coverage. Mark Meredith is at the White House tracking the administration's response. But first, we go to Mike Tobin. He is live in Israel and Tel Aviv as the Israelis assess damage from Iranian missile strikes to military and civilian targets. Hey, Mike.
Hi there, Ainsley. The Iranian missile barrages are part of every day and night. An Israeli military spokesman now says some 400 Iranian missiles have been fired at Israel. What we saw in the overnight hours, however, was...
Ladies and gentlemen, perhaps as I've been around a long time, do you remember Hezbollah? They had 100,000 missiles aimed at the ammonia tank farms at the port of Haifa. Where were they? If you haven't worked out yet what a fraud it all is, well, I think you've worked it all out by now, surely. Surely no one believes that Islamic Terror is some organic organization run by Arabs. It is totally inorganic. It is astroturfed. It's fake grass. It has come out of the City of London, elements of MI6, elements of CIA, and the Bank of International Settlements in Switzerland. That's why when I was in Iran, the Lashkari family, Homoyun T. Lashkari, the gay lawyer, drug addict, who was trying to handle me, friends of the Zarif, the foreign minister, his sister Ziba Lashkari, his son is in Swiss banking, and she goes backwards and forwards from Switzerland to Iran. Oh, and when I say rich, they have huge apartment blocks. They're multi-zillionaires. That's who I was staying with. I'm giving you gold here. It's gold. The whole thing's fake. It's fraud. It's City of London. It's France, Germany, City of London. That's who set up the theocracy in 1979. It's City of London, France, and Germany who run or was running Iran. I presume the US is going to step in.
Instead of the usual hundreds of missiles coming at Israel, what we have seen since the start of Operation Rising Lion, about 20 came last night. 4 missiles got through, hitting in the town of Herzliya, which is just north of Tel Aviv.
Stretch paint,
one of them set a
chosen fingernails, a bus, a chosen bus. Oh my God!
Fire, but no injuries reported thus far. Meantime, an Israeli official says the IDF is not done hitting targets inside Iran. Yesterday, the Iranian state TV building was burning after it was hit by an Israeli strike. A hit.
It's Iran Press TV.
While they were live on the air.
That's where I was going to work. Oh yeah, it's all a knack. Look at them.
Israel also says Iran's wartime chief of staff was killed. Ali Shadmani was his name. He was the most senior military commander closest to Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. But he only had the job for 4 days. He was appointed after his predecessor was killed.
They just keep killing him. Have you not noticed? Again, we're back to 2 + 2 = 4, aren't we? Aren't we? You can't sit in Qatar in 5-star hotels, part of a terrorist organization, right next to the largest US air base. And good old Winston, Steve Bannon's new friend, is saying there's some conspiracy theories about Qatar and Israel funding. They're all funding. Just look, it's like asking the question about Qatar and Hamas. Hamas terrorists, okay, their leadership are in 5-star hotels in Cairo, Turkey, Ankara, and Qatar, particularly Qatar. Okay? Terrorists, mass killers, 5-star hotels, right next to the US airbase. As Winston told us, it's a conspiracy.
Kind of worked with the Israeli government to fund in cash Hamas in Gaza.
Is Qatar really a neutral place? Hamas have been able to siphon off billions of dollars and keep it safely in Qatar. And yet the American airbase is there. How do I make sense of this? And yet the American airbase is there. How do I make sense of this? And yet the American airbase is there. How do I make sense of this?
It's all being funded by them. Yisra Hassoun, I've done it in previous videos. There's 2 I see at the Shin Bet. A Syrian Jew born in Damascus, fluent Arabic. There is no Jewish race or ethnicity. It's just a cult. You can join the gang. You can join the cartel. The Arabs speak Arabic. You can't tell the difference because it's a religion, or in fact, it's an attitude and a cult and a gang, an organized crime gang. And he brags that he was the top recruiter of Arabs into the network. They run Islamic Terror. They run the whole fucking thing. The DOD has said you can now dismantle it with your blood and your treasure, although they never do. It's always the US taxpayer treasure. And the US is going to move into the region. Is that good or bad? Well, it's going to be better than what it was, but we'll have to wait and see. Because there's a lot of dynamics at work now. A lot of dynamics. And again, we're getting back to cyber as the real domain of power, that Bibi has power. Why does he have power? Because he's in everything. And I can't give you the gravitas, the words to say what everything means. Every tiny industrial controller chip that runs, say, valves on and off in the US, United States, the oil and gas industry is run by an Israeli company. All of them. All of them. Down to your water, your electricity, your sewerage. If there is a critical piece of infrastructure that makes your society work, specifically Israelis are in there. And we know the penetration of Israel by Russian GRU assets. We've got to get into the whole history because the only way to understand it is to see how it happened before. They've never gone away. They've been there 5, 6, 7 generations. And you stop looking overseas because it's not in Israel. It's in the United States. That's what we're trying to get across.
He knows about how the Soviets ran an extensive spy network in Germany, the Rote Kapelle. He knows early on in the 40s and 50s that Soviet double agents, he doesn't know quite yet about Philby until 51, that they are blowing many of the early CIA operations. This is also not mentioned previously today. Angleton was one of the first CIA people to be read into the Venona secret in 1952. Previously, that had been kept within the FBI and the Army and then its SIG successors. Angleton is indoctrinated into it in 52, and imagine the eye-opening experience of finding out that there are hundreds of Soviet operatives all over the U.S. government during World War II, including in OSS, but also in the War Production Board, the War Department, the State Department, the White House, you name it, it was penetrated by the Soviets. And then the betrayal with Philby, as we know. So we have here not only evidence that the Soviets can run a deception operation, but the fact that they have spies all over the place circa 1950 to 55.
I'm going to get back now to editing up this Chris Boleyn about cyber and Air India and all the rest. And then ask yourself, something's got to shift in your brain that as nothing changes and the same shit keeps happening and we get another internet star come out and go, boo Israel, and everyone rushes to go, yeah, the Zionist experiment is finished. Not finished, not going away, not until you understand they're not in Israel. They're your next door neighbor. They're inside the government. They're at the top levels of the NSA, the CIA, the DIA. They're right through the system. Until you understand that, you will just sit there and they will bullshit us and they will have another set of morons come up and tell you, fight. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and you'll have another little bit of hope. They just got to give you a little bit of hope. Something's happening. Something's happening. Look, they're talking about it online or they're talking about something similar. So that gives me hope that something is happening. So you do nothing. You just sit there. And that's why they said, we can tell you the truth and you will just sit there passively cheering for your team. That is the system. That's what Whitney Webb is. That's what James Corbett. They've never done a fucking thing. Have they ever handed out a flyer? Have they ever engaged, told you to move politically ever in their lives? And you can't work it out. Why do we keep getting effed over? Why do I keep seeing all these internet stars tell me things I want to hear or tell me 20%? And I go, that's enough. But nothing changes. And we just keep marching towards the final solution of Auschwitz for all of us, not just Jews. Mate, all of us are going in. We're just marching towards AI and drones and automated systems getting rid of the managerial class. All right? Because they can't kill us all until they get rid of the managerial class and automate systems. Everything you see now is about automating systems. Automating kill vehicles, full automation of kill vehicles, no human in the loop. That's the big one. And that's where they're moving. And they're literally jerking off, orgasming. Oh, yes. Like not even trying to hide. They're not even hiding the fact that they're moving this way. Such is their surety that you're going to sit there and do nothing. Meanwhile, Mary and Dawn have been out on the street at the No Kings thing. They said it was actually quite good. Everyone was very well behaved. We've seen all the bullshit about the LA riots. They go and focus on 50 crisis actors setting fire to something and action. And there we have the bullshit. We're not talking about bankers. Americans hate Mexicans. Mexicans hate Americans. Beautiful. But no one can get together and say bankers, the banking of financial class, City of London, Rothschild, Cecil Rhodes, history of the round table groups, the think tanks, the infiltration, the Bolsheviks, the Jewish Bolsheviks, they're completely penetrated like the University of Chicago, the Frankfurt School, how they move into the Rockefeller Foundation, George Kaiser Foundation in Oklahoma, where they openly brag we're bringing in Unit 8200 staff, complete and total infiltration. And we've got to go over James Angleton, the 50s and the 60s and the 70s, because that was when they were all put in place. And then you will understand, because if we can't face it, God can't fix it. If we can't articulate it, God can't fix it. And their aim is to keep you spinning in circles with their limited hangout bullshit, with their little internet stars cross-promoted. And you're all going, witness is amazing, with all the AI bots and the trolls they've got going, pushing their little actor forward. The key to understanding them all is, do you seriously think in the year 2025, the answer is to like and subscribe, buy coffee mugs or t-shirts, buy swag and merch, attend their silly little conferences, and never engage in politics? Right. So you've worked them out yet. It's not an accident. Whitney Webb is the enemy. Corbett is the enemy. They are the fucking enemy. All these top people who've contacted me personally, from Peter Thiel's buddy, Charles Johnson, you're a hero of mine, former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, you have a body of work to be proud of. Never say my name. Never link to my videos. Never. None of them. Ever. I'm invited out with Jesuit prime ministers from Australia, Tony Abbott, who's hanging with Kissinger, former SAS commander, Special Air Service, James McMahon, with Minister Joe Francis in Western Australia. Approached by the Pentagon, Colonel Andrew Kernan, his sister, Leah Mackenzie Kernan, just tapped to be chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Joint Special Operations Command, in my fucking bed. And I can't get a single soul interested. I can't get a journalist interested. Mary and Dawn are doing their best out on the street. Lee did all that great work. So what's come of it? Zero. No help, no nothing, no cross-promotion, no interviews. Zero. There it is, ladies and gentlemen. The whole system. Pat Berge said 2021, Brendon, they don't spend billions of dollars so you can get your message out. They've shadow banned you. You're never going to be seen. You're never going to be heard. Most of the people around you are literal actors. They're family, friends of intelligence community, or they are paid Lockheed Fusion Center people. And you've just got to accept it. If you can't get out of Mexico and you can't get into the United States, you can't go back to Australia, you're fucked. They're paying you just to keep you quiet, keep you there, and, maybe they want to roll for you with your Australian accent at a future date, but not if you don't comply with what they want. They want you handled, they want you under control. And then we got the guy that wrote Project 2025, one of the Danish guys, came over to my Patreon and said I was a big influence on that 2025 document to do with Israel and other stuff. And I don't even know why we didn't talk to him. I'm sitting back. What was wrong with me? I've been in a daze. I mean, I'm going to have to move again. Do you think that everywhere I go in Mexico, there's sudden spout of electrical blackouts? It's 40 degrees Celsius here and 95% humidity. Believe me, you can't work. You can't stay in the house. It follows me everywhere, and I'm starting to wonder now. I'm like, yep, I think there's something going on. I really am. All right, ladies and gentlemen, this is just a quick update. I need to get back to work, and we'll talk soon again. So on my Patreon, go there. F. Scott Fitzgerald, quote, "The test of a first-rate intelligence is the ability to hold two opposing ideas in the mind at the same time and still retain the ability to function. One should, for example, be able to see that things are hopeless and yet be determined to make them otherwise. This philosophy fitted on to my early adult life when I saw the improbable, the implausible, often the impossible, come true."
What is our common bond truly? Freedom. Freedom. Without freedom, you can't be a Christian no matter what denomination you belong to. You can't be a Buddhist. You can't own a donut shop. You can't drive from here to Oregon. You can't be an American, because that's what it's all about, and it's the only thing that it's all about. Nothing else. Nothing else. It's about freedom. Only freedom.